welcome to everyone. And I mean, of course, if you feel comfortable, but please flip your cameras on. This is, we're all friendly humans over here, and it's the best way to somewhat connect, even though we're virtual, and see some faces and check in with each other. So once again, thanks for coming. The idea of today is to give a bit of a preview of our Beusail Longevity Forums and what happens in the wild with our groups, whether you're personally interested or if you've got members that are clients or friends and colleagues and so forth that are interested in leveraging these unique groups of like-minded individuals. We'll do a little bit of, like as Curtis mentioned, jump into an expert topic, which we have Anna. Then we'll do one of our plus 22 breakthrough experiences, which is one of the kind of staples for all of our forums that take place every month. And it's really an opportunity for us to go a lot deeper on specific topics in health. And in this case, we're really going to dive into the whys behind living longer and healthier. But before we do all of that, also how all our forums start, since we all live busy lives and there's a lot going on in the world all the time, we usually start with some kind of breathing or some kind of grounding practice to blow up mental clutter. I mean, the top level executives that I work with and athletes that have been able to interview all do this stuff. So I don't see why any of us can't do it and leverage it in a matter of minutes. So just out of curiosity or in the chat, or if your cameras are on, show of hands, who here has done any kind of guided breathing in the past? Of course, Anna, yes. Perfect. See the chat. I just like to get a bit of a pulse of who's done this, because this may be a little bit different than what you're used to. It's a little bit of an upregulated breathwork pattern, and it's designed. Of course, there are a bunch of physical health benefits that you can look up. I mean, anti-inflammatory properties and so forth. But the main reason we're doing it here is it's an immediate way to reset the mind and tap into some of the questions and the topics that we're going to be jumping into in a much deeper way, literally in the matter of minutes. So this is where you can kind of kill your camera. We're just going to do 2-3 minutes. It's nothing too crazy. On the holds, you might feel a little bit of tingling in the extremities. Totally normal. That means it's working. We're moving around blood. We're giving ourselves a little internal workout. Enjoy the ride. And just before, just to make sure you can hear my sound, can you hear that?
Ready to get focused?
Yeah,
be
perfect.
productive.
All right,
have an
let's
awesome
do it.
day. Let's do this thing, starting with in 4, out 4, nasal breath. In 2, 1, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. Double time, here we go. In, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in. Get lost in this. Big breath in. Squeeze your hands into fists. Feel the power in your whole body. You're alive. Let's let it out with a big exhale right now. Holding on empty. Conjure up the power you have within you. Feel it. Let's breathe life into this again. 2 count breath. Here we go. In, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. in. Empty it out. Getting ready for a 1 count breath. In, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. Get lost in this. You got 30 more seconds. Give it your all. Ready for our final breath in. Take it in. Feel the power in your stomach. Feel the drive in your heart. Use this today. Let it out. Beautiful. You are incredible.
All right. Just slowly return your regular breath. Pop your cameras back on. I mean, just in one word, how's everyone feeling? Just describe the emotion or the sentiment that comes to mind. You can unmute. Any lightheaded? Yeah, calm, finally. I love that. Yeah, grounded, calm. Yeah, awake. Absolutely. Like literally that took a couple minutes. And I know statistically speaking, there's probably a certain percentage of you on the call here that were banging out emails while we're doing that. And for that, I'll say, I'm not judging, but try this. I'm telling you, the best in the world do this. Every Olympian I've ever interviewed, every billionaire ever interviewed, they're all leveraging these practices. I saw a clip recently of LeBron James right before stepping on the court. He's got 30,000 people all staring at him and his eyes are closed and he's going through a similar breathwork sequence like this. I mean, that to me terrifies me because that's being broadcast around the world. But to have that level of conviction and focus to go through a sequence and know that a practice like literally just breathing, the thing that keeps us alive, has that amount of power. I mean, we can use that in between meetings, in between important meetings, pitches and so forth. I mean, it's just, it's immediately accessible is I guess my point. Okay, so I don't want to take too much time from Anna's time with us here. Curtis mentioned briefly what we're going to do on the agenda, so we just went through some grounding and a bit of an open. We'll have Anna speak and we'll have an interview, which is interactive. So if you have questions, I'll do my best to monitor the chat so that we can be flowing with whatever's on your mind and any questions that you need answered. Then right after Anna's done, we'll jump into that breakthrough experience and then we'll close. So it'll be roughly about an hour and a half. All right, Anna, welcome to the crew. It's great to see you again. Thank you as well. Let me just pin you to the top here. I put Anna's background on the slide just so you can take a quick look. But just in a few words, Anna, I mean, who are you? What kind of work do you do? And just give us a little bit of context and flavor to the lovely Anna.
Oh, thank you. I guess I'm a techie and very international person, super passionate about well-being and what should I say, the evolution of humankind. So obviously longevity is a huge part of that, but I really think of it like in a very wide way. And I'm the co-founder and CEO of Sensate. It's a product that uses infrasonic waves and sound to calm the nervous system. I'm sure many of you have heard of it. Yeah, we're a few years into the journey, definitely seeing amazing results out of it. And it's really great to be here.
Thank you. I mean, the one thing I want to point out that I think is super cool, I feel like you have the most unique and interesting and also just a beneficial background. It's such a mixed background from, as you mentioned, technology, but systems thinker, but you're also really deep into meditation and all of these different mindfulness practices, and not just as a hobbyist. I mean, you're officially trained in some of this stuff, but you're also big into engineering and code. And so, I mean, it's just such an interesting mix. So, where did all that come from, or how did it begin, and how has that influenced kind of what you do today?
Yeah, like I didn't make myself, so I only have the experience of being me. Yeah, I guess like I was always very good in math and physics and music and art. So I've kind of had that polarity my whole life. Definitely been a problem solver and looking at things from a very systematic level. I do embarrass myself sometimes with how nerdy I am. My master thesis was developing a 3D programming language and coding the interpreter into a 3D rendering engine in 2003, 2004, so a little bit before Web3. But I've been hands off from a technology perspective for quite some time. So I've been in executive roles, including CEO, and now I'm back in the startup world, having spent some time in startups, some time in large corporates. But I have been, as you know, very passionate about my personal growth and really like how humans work as almost as software. So it's fascinating that like that has been two very separate things. I was an early adopter of meditation, where that wasn't something that you could really speak about in the workplace, and colleagues were definitely curious and interested. And I came across yoga in '97. That's not early, in the perspective of yoga, obviously, but before it went super mainstream, I guess. And so it's lovely to be able to bring together my passion for mass market consumer tech that really has an impact in the world and a positive impact in the world, together with my passion for health and wellness and very much kind of preventative health angle.
I want to ask you a little bit about recoding ourselves for longevity, and get your perspective on what that actually means, and why we should actually care about that, especially in today's environment and the world that we all live and operate in, where, at least from my perspective, I see, especially working with teams, I mean, most people are operating sub 60% when it comes to mental capacity, which uh, performance wise is obviously not great from an organizational standpoint, but just as humans, I mean, I don't think we deserve to be at that operating level.
Mm.
We've got a lot more to give and feel. So I'd love your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, where to start? So, I mean, first of all, if we want to live for a very long time, we better have a purpose, right? So, we don't need more humans just consuming on the planet, right? But we do need more humans doing something useful in the world. And that's definitely a force that really drives me. And I think I said many times, I could never work as many hours as I do on this early stage company if I didn't constantly get letters and to see in our user data what an impact we're having in people's lives. So, but yeah, that's the thing. We actually do need more people with experience and purpose, and we have a lot that we can deliver in the world. And I guess that's what everyone's on the call. I'm just super curious what everyone else is programming for longevity for. So I might have to pop that in the chat. But I think, to your point, it's really unfortunate when we have this incredible capacity to tap into such intelligence, such innovation, such like we are creative, collaborative beings. And when we activate the stress response, even at a lighter level, we kind of suppress that part of ourselves. We become isolated, survival mode people, and we just don't really make decisions for that reason, literally neurologically for the future. We make short-term decisions. We kind of disconnect our creativity, our empathy, a lot of other important things that make us unique and amazing. So, obviously, I'm very passionate about the nervous system aspect specifically, but it is one system, right? So, I love Curtis's holistic perspective here, because you can't sort of have one pillar and not the others. So, I take the angle, how the nervous system underpins so many things. But you need to tackle it from all aspects.
How do we start? I mean, I think we can probably all resonate with the fact that often our minds feel like they're at capacity or overcapacitated, and just stressed, and sometimes just we're just trying to get to the end of the day and check
Yeah.
off things with the to-do list, right? But how do we start making the shift, because that does not support everyone here. I'm assuming if you're on the call, I mean, you're interested in kind of being outside of the regular pack of the herd, and kind of carving the way when it comes to longevity and impact and so forth. So we need to do different things, I guess you can say.
Yeah, and it really depends where we're starting from as well. And I have huge empathy for, the various challenging situations. Some people are genuinely in situations of survival mode, right? So, like, we're all kind of privileged to be on this call, but then also gives us capacity to help more people. Um, so, where do we start? I think one part that has been very helpful for myself recently has been just to kind of realize how much control we have over our nervous system and kind of demystifying stress and stress resiliency. Because I think stress, if we give it so much power and we fear, and all, yeah, it can be stressful to know all the damage the stress is doing to our body. Similar with sleep, right? If we struggle to sleep and on top of it, we stress about the fact that we're not sleeping, we're kind of perpetuating the problem. So baseline, obviously, taking a full perspective. Some testing is always good if we're not feeling well, right? Like we can have underlying physical conditions that are undermining things, and I want to be very empathetic that is sometimes we're like, oh, you should just feel good by yourself. Like clearly that can be the case. And in this field, I'm so encouraged by the incredible evolution in various extreme precise testing in so many areas that we haven't had before. And I know Curtis agrees with me, like it's maybe 2 decades ahead of what the kind of testing you would get in a general healthcare setting. So there's a lot of opportunity for us who are like informed and have the ability to do that. And then, when it comes to nervous system regulation, I mean, I'm not going to like not talk about meditation. It is just such an incredible tool. And I think the reason that we're doing what we're doing is that meditation isn't accessible for everyone at this point in time. It is a pursuit that is worthwhile no matter where we are on the journey. But there are so many people, I mean, 76% of American adults experience chronic stress. And so if we're in pain, we're extremely sleep deprived, we're feeling extremely anxious, it's very, very hard to get into a meditative state. There are still benefits from just trying to meditate. You actually obviously get better at it. And I think that meditation is an incredibly worthwhile pursuit for everyone. But what very much my co-founder, Stefan Chmelik, discovered working with
with
patients
everything.
in the biggest integrated healthcare clinic in Europe at the time was that, if they were not able to get their patients to improve vagal nerve tone and regulate the nervous system, it was extremely unlikely or it's very hard for them to get other interventions to work. And that's obviously because when we activate sympathetic state, when we activate stress response, neurologically, we suppress immune system, suppress digestive system, and all of that, right? Which means that other interventions are going to be undermined. And that's very important to consider when we're doing other things to improve our health. If we are creating the kind of body chemistry that comes from stress, but also undermining systems, the supplement, if we're undermining our digestive system, the supplements are obviously not going to, get into our system as well. So, and again, that's a lot of precise testing we can do if we have any problems or any other pathways and things like that. But in general, a regulated nervous system is going to be pivotal underpinning any other interventions. And that's where like whatever it takes to regularly find a way to recharge the nervous system, whether it's using Sensate, whether it's breath work, whether it's omming, it doesn't really matter what it is. But I think that what a lot of people need is an easy way to do that. And also, as you know, Mark, I have all these tools. I'm an experienced meditator,
Yeah.
breath work practitioner, all of that. And I still use Sensate quite regularly because if my mind is very overwhelmed with thought, or if I'm in the middle of a very long workday, I won't actually get into a meditative state. And I might choose to actually do a Sensate session, which gives me very quick nervous system relaxation and recharge, which means that I will then have a little bit more energy, perhaps for my evening work, work block, etc. So I think like where to start is just finding an easy place to start. And if we always say like if Sensate is a gateway drug to meditation, amazing. I'm looking forward to the day when a product like ours is no longer needed. I think it will take probably hundreds of years, given where we're at right now. But yeah, we're definitely loving to take people on that path as well once they're on board.
And what, so, I mean, what is Sensate? I mean, it's probably the time to describe what it is and what it can do. And then anything around that as well, that if people don't have access to Sensate, similar things that they can do to at least present day to start regulating the nervous system.
Yeah, so Sensate includes a little hardware device. It's like a little black pebble. It's like over there actually. No, I should have had it right next to me on my desk. And you put on headphones, you place the device on your sternum, and you start a session in an app. The sessions are between 10 and 30 minutes long. And what you will hear sound therapy through the headphones, your own headphones, and you will physically feel the subaudible frequencies in the chest area. And so, if we think of practices that also work, like umming and like we if we learn to get the vibration into the center of our chest, it feels very unique, and we can do that for an extended period of time. We also get this vagal nerve activation, and we can when I did that for an hour, I felt euphoric. But we need to learn to really get the vibration into our chest. So
Why,
that's
why is that important? Like, where is that coming from? The
yeah.
vibrations? Because
I
this has
guess
been around since the beginning of time. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. And this is a very interesting frontier, right? Because there's so many practices that have been around for thousands of years that's only now getting proven with science. And that's a very interesting question. Like, I'm this super rational person. And then I also, but like we have to not ignore our lived experience.
yeah.
So even like, for example, with the alchemy breath work, I can't explain what's happening. It's beyond my understanding, but I have now done it with hundreds of people that have absolutely no lack of conviction of what the breath work is doing, whereas I can't explain it. But now we're starting to see, well, in essence, the vagus nerve goes through all the organs, and obviously we have the chest cavity, which so we have already an inbuilt resonance chamber in the chest area. So if you're an opera singer, you might use that for projection. If you're arming, then we get this vibration into the chest cavity. So if we talk, we might be just vibrating out here. The vagus nerve goes through the organs, lungs, and heart, etc. And so the theory there is obviously that for any yoga teacher will tell you that the reason you is to tone the vagus nerve, or at least if they've studied at any deep level.
Yeah, yeah. It's what I'm always fascinated about around these practices is again, it's the simplicity and the history of them, and for whatever reason, I mean, because if you think of the athletics world, I mean, this is all just accepted stuff. I mean, there's visualization, there's meditation, breath work. I mean, yeah, of course, if you're going to be at the top of your game in athletics, you're going to do all this stuff. But anything outside of that, and it's coming a long way, is either seen as woo woo or I don't have time for this and so forth, which I think that's probably the biggest hurdle. Like, we just need to adjust our perspective around this is not new. I mean, the ways to access these practices maybe are, and thanks to the work that you and the team are doing, make it a little bit easier. But it's not new.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, I think we just need, this is where we need to like kind of park the ego at the side and be like, well, if I want to be at my best, if I want to live the longest and feel the greatest and have the most amount of impact, I mean, why wouldn't I leverage the tools and practices that have been tested since the beginning of time? Like, it seems kind of ludicrous when you put it that way, but we're
Yeah.
kind of stuck there, right? We've got to inch our way forward, and I think we just need to try it. So,
Mm.
I mean, do you have any, are there any almost like use cases or experiences that can maybe help paint the picture of what's possible in real life?
Well, I think, there's this like common podcast question, all right? Like, if you had a billboard, what would it say? Like, mine would be neuroplasticity is real.
There you go.
And I was actually talking about with someone last night about that. I wasn't a very well-functioning teenager. Like my brain process is super fast, and I would have like really high energy, very low energy. I would procrastinate. I would still get great grades, but I would study last minute and whatnot. And I could see these patterns in myself. I'm sure I would have been diagnosed with something if I wasn't like old enough to be born in the 70s, where people didn't really get diagnosed so much. But and I could see those patterns in myself, and I wouldn't recognize myself. If I would have met myself now as a 17-year-old, I definitely wouldn't even think it's possible. So but everyone here, and I just want to respect people in rooms, like we're all kind of very driven to improvement, and I'm sure working on all aspects around self and for like optimal performance. So I think we when it comes to the product as well, like we have many people with quite severe stress and anxiety who for whom it's life changing, and I think that's really what I deeply care about. We obviously we're in a lot of the absolute top elite
What's wrong,
longevity
honey?
clinics as well. Oh, sorry, I think someone's maybe
And this is going to
Oh,
be like a hornet's nest.
I think
Scott's
Scott,
mom.
do you mind muting the hornet's
Thank you.
nest? Thank you. There we go.
um Last thread. Yeah, so we have and so the to make certain tools really easily available is life changing for
Yeah.
people. Like when I have multiple different tools, I still find it extremely convenient to be able to downregulate a certain nervous system, and also because it is so easy to train the nervous system. Now I've been using the product Sensate for a few years. I drop immediately into deep relaxation. So now it's accessible for me within seconds to get deep rest for a short period of time,
Mm,
and there are no other of my practices that can get me there as fast. It doesn't mean I don't do the others; it just depends on what I need. So I think there are tools and practices, and I also don't think of things in isolation. I mean, I've done everything.
yeah.
In an internal family system, and studied Kabbalah, and like there's so many things. I find it really fascinating with different frameworks and how we can reframe certain things to really be very much more functioning. And one thing that I think is a topic that I love right now from a stress perspective as well is that stress and challenge is part of nature. Nothing grows strong without challenge or resistance. Not a muscle, not a tree. We already struggle in space because we don't get resistance, and that's like one of these more like Kabbalistic sort of concepts where it's here to serve us. And I think like some of the more personal development is like we should always be able to manifest ease. Actually, we don't really grow as much, and so I like that idea of the resistance just making us stronger, better, whatever it is we do every day. But it does require that we are able to regulate the nervous system in a relevant way, which obviously there are tools and practices to do.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Just flipping to the group or the chat, is anyone maybe like a direct question, like where do you struggle most with these kind of practices, and just being completely real and transparent around what some of the hurdles are, and maybe we can talk through some of this because uh, I'm sure, Anna, you've heard a lot of the kind of the objections on whether it's time or just basically trying to check off the to-do list, or I've even heard sometimes around like I don't want to be too zenned out as an example and lose an edge, which is also I think a little bit more of a myth than a fact. But anyone on the line, I mean, we're this is for all of you guys, so I mean, please flip any questions, and outside of that topic as well, the line is open. Any questions in the chat, or if you want to unmute, just kick it off. There you go. Is there an ideal amount of time to meditate slash use Sensate?
So the recommendation is really 10 minutes per day in a preventative way. We do have a very varied usage patterns. So people that have a lot of stress and anxiety use it multiple times a day. it is literally sonic waves, so it's not really a problem. I am definitely a promoter as well for electrical stimulation, especially if you have like health conditions. But you know, there is a limit to how much electricity you want to like charge necessarily from the nerve endings into the center of your nervous system. So yeah, there is nothing stopping a person from using it multiple times a day. We have about 25, almost 30% of our users using it before sleeping. So I think a lot of people struggle to wind down. And so that support is very important for a lot of people. And then sometimes it actually can make sense to use the same session. I'm like a variety type of person, so I always like to try new things, and so I'm the person who will like try a different session all the time. I definitely have my favorites, but to just do the same session before sleeping every night and get that routine, that seems to be helping for a lot of people. We did a sleep study that was pretty remarkable, so we're definitely going to have to do some more stuff there.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, there's so what do we have here? I've got a bunch here.
I think the
Michael,
routine people are talking about as well, and just like doing the
yeah.
meditation. And I'm the same. I find it fascinating, given that I have been meditating for years, and when I do it regularly and a little bit longer, it just really makes my life better. And I'm like, sometimes I'm like, how is it possible that even I have the tool and it really works, and I still cut it out because I get too busy and so on. But I think that that's where also we just need to have a lot of self-compassion,
Yeah, for sure.
and just it's okay, just come back to it. Just but not from a place of I'm so bad I didn't do it, but like I deserve it because I am amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that perspective because you're right. We're typically quite hard on ourselves. I mean, what one way that I mean, there's a lot of work that I do in the mental fitness side of well as well is to stack the practices to you know other things that you're doing in your routine, but the other thing that I've worked, especially in the business world, we're all super good at creating strategies and plans and tactics for our businesses, and we have those mapped out really well for the quarters. One way to bring these practices is take a look at that plan and then attach something like this to the next 2 to 3 months,
Mm,
right? And give yourself, I mean, it depends on which science you're looking at, but at the minimum, something like 66 days to form or break habits. So give ourselves, a little bit of grace on that side, and then just commit to a couple months of trying something new with the objective of, yeah, I need to be um, healthy and alert and good energy to pitch for investment for the next 3 months, as an example, right? Like, because now you have a greater motivator than just, hey, I just want to meditate for the rest of my life kind of thing. I find that has helped in a lot of situations. Patrick has a really good question. I think if I summarize it, it's kind of like the balance of a sustainable shift in kind of
mm,
momentary
yeah.
situation, maybe a high stress situation, to long term nervous system resilience.
That's
So
a
how do you
really
see the
good
tools
question.
supporting that? Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
so again, it is the kind of practice and the habit. But what's great with like nervous system training is that it's not like a muscle. As soon as you stop, it deteriorates. Like if you actually wire it once away, it connects away unless you start wiring it some other way, right? So we do build up, like the more we do meditation and the more we practice any type of mindfulness or downregulation of the nervous system. One thing that I really like about Sensei, and I want to be clear, like I take no credit for like Stefan came up with this product in clinic. And I'm like I said, he's a healer, I'm the hustler. Like he had it in clinic, this jewel, and I've been sure to make sure that it comes out to the world, which is my mission because it's so needed. So what I really like about it, coming from my perspective, was also that first of all, sonic waves are completely natural to the body, arguably the first sense like we have as in like I don't know fetus, just
Mm.
like sound waves, and cat purring. That's also some audible sound, right? So it occurs naturally in nature, and And what I find fascinating is how effective it is. Like I'm blown away by both the biomarker improvements and also the retention. And I think that's really important. And so the only reason I'm doing that night and day, working these hours, is because I can see it's having an impact on like, especially like normal people. Like I love obviously that we have celebrities and sports people and all that using athletes using the product, but I so deeply care about the masses. I mean, and we can't function as a society if we can't collectively regulate the nervous system. Like we're not making good decisions for ourselves or our neighbors or our country, no matter if we're sort of activating stress response. So we need a more resilient population. That's
Yeah.
for sure. So what I'm seeing is that because it's easy, people keep coming back to it. The other thing that I really like is that it somatically actually also brings you into your body. And that's another really important aspect of the long-term effects. We know about trauma and such that if we are going to resolve it, we have to come into our bodies. Like the body keeps the score, waking the tiger, we know this. And so that's also really important to me. And that's why one area where I am obviously a techie. I love technology and technology that has a positive impact. I'm a little bit like hesitant around AR, VR, for the reason that we're already visually overstimulated and that it can take us out of the body. And there's a reason why we close our eyes when we do a Sensate session or a meditation. And then also, one reason as well that it works for people that have maybe a little bit of pain is that it somatically brings you straight into your center without you having to as much necessarily pay attention to the pain in the body and things like that. So
Mm.
it's definitely the habit creation is the one thing for the long-term effects, but also, those are some secondary elements that, really builds on that positive long-term effect.
I have another product question, and then we'll get to Jerry Anderson's $1 million question. That's the holy grail of answers, if we can find that one. But Nicholas says, has there been any link between Sensate to the improvements in HRV and changes in EEG and so forth?
Yeah, so here's what's really interesting. Like in different studies, we get very different outcome in HRV. So I guess HRV is a kind of fickle. And we have one study where it's like mind blowing, and another study where it's like not such incredible improvements. There's so much that goes into HRV. Obviously, it's a very good proxy for good vagal nerve tone, so we do measure it in our testing. We did one brainwave study, or an external party did, and that was interesting. So what we could see there was that from the very first session, and these are people that have never used a product before, no training, no practice, that we saw I think it was 26% increase in theta brainwaves and 27% decrease in beta brainwave, and that shows that we're moving a person towards a meditative state from the very first session with no prior training.
Mm.
And that's definitely very important. But the most important thing, especially for the habit creation, is the subjective well-being. The people actually genuinely feel the calming effect. And I think that's, the other, not to be ignored. Subjective well-being is actually a very important longevity marker. It is
Yeah,
one of the strongest longevity markers that, we sometimes in the kind of biohacker space don't look as much at. Obviously, often correlates with other biomarkers as well.
of course.
Mm.
Jerry asks, are you aware of the best overall health monitoring product?
Well, there are so many different ones for different things. I have the Aura Ring, I have a Stilo, I have I don't know what, an Apple Watch, and but also I do think it's there's definitely going to be some consolidation, at
Yeah,
some point in this industry, and also some intelligent integration. So at the moment, it's a little bit isolated, and it's a very natural progress for the industry to be able to coordinate all these different biomarkers and actually also some of the really good tests, as I mentioned before, that are coming into the market. So I wouldn't say that there's one, right now, but also there's so many different things to measure. There isn't really, a product that look at all the different things. And, it is very much to like, do we have potential blood sugar levels? And that's the most important one. Do we have struggle with our sleep protocol? And, that's going to be something. So, just very individual as well, right?
Oh, for sure.
Mm.
I think we do. I mean, this is maybe a controversial answer, but I think we do actually have access to that product, and it's actually our mind,
Hmm.
and our mind plus a journal, let's just say, and figure out something that works for you. If I think of, like, I spent a couple years with a Whoop, and then like, okay, I'll take a bit of a break. I got a lot of insight, but I still think of those insights. And same thing with wearing a CGM. I mean, the things that are really important that stick usually stick in the mind, and then you can start, kind of triangulating. Okay, and then it's personalized to you, right? And you can experiment. But I think that's the key, is being open to experiment with some of these different devices and tools and practices, and keeping a log in a way that works for you,
Yeah.
and then you have access to that immediately. You don't have to wait for someone to create that one app or one device or whatever it is. And I'm sure it'll come one day, but it's definitely the kind of the holy grail.
Yeah, we need to not forget the super tool as well, which we can develop, which is also our connection to our own bodies and our intuition.
Yeah,
And having been sick for a few years between 2012 and 2016, it really forced me. So I kind of didn't really, I don't take credit for it because I kind of had to, but I was forced to really come into my body, and, change lifestyle to a large extent. And the fascinating gift that I've got on the back of that is my body talks to me of what I
yeah,
need. I need high, like I need potassium and magnesium. I haven't drank enough water. No, I can't drink more of this. I can't eat more of this. So it's like much more in tune with my body in a way I didn't know was possible. So I think like we need to take all the tests and all the biomarkers as input. And I'm like really for it, and I'm mostly completely absorbed in this world. But it shouldn't replace. I mean, a starting point as well. This is healthy to both feel into. I do think Aura as well is like a really good product. With my partner, we have improved our protocol for around sleep, and really both improved our sleep quality. And also the readiness score isn't necessarily how I feel when I wake up, but very much how I feel at 4 p.m.
yeah,
So I do think it's great and accurate, but it is important to not become fully dependent, maybe, of all the technology, and forget that actually we have an incredible, incredible computer system or
yeah,
intelligence as well if we tune into our bodies.
for sure. I mean, I mean, all the Aura, Whoop, all of them. I mean, Apple sleep tracking. I mean, they're all helpful tools. But
Hmm.
again, to your point, like, our intuition is pretty powerful if we can calm and quiet the mind enough to actually hear those signs and listen, right? Like, okay, 3 o'clock, am I completely exhausted? Probably a sign there's something going on, or some
Hmm.
things I can try to adjust and edit, or kind of fix the code, to use your language, and just experiment, and so forth. Uh, Anna, I mean, if there are no other questions, I mean, or let's open them up for any kind of final questions. But I just want to be conscious of time. Thank you for joining us and sharing some of your insights and your knowledge and wisdom, and of course, explain a little bit what you're up to at Sensate. And um, yeah, it's really encouraging that you and the team are out there, and there are people like you doing this work, because it's not the easiest, and we need it though. We very much need it. So thank
Thank
you.
you. No, thank you. And everyone's definitely welcome to reach out to me as well. Anna at getsensate.com, with any suggestions and questions, for sure. Also, we are a small team, so any potential partners or pilots, we also have an impact roadmap for, for example, veterans or groups that don't access the product otherwise, that are in need of nervous system regulation. So the door is open. And
Amazing. Yeah,
yeah,
and
thank
you're in
everyone so much.
investment mode right now, right? Or investor raising
Yeah,
round?
yeah,
Yeah.
true as well. We have
Yeah.
some space on the round, definitely very, and especially values aligned investors. We have an amazing lead investor already signed, so would love that as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Curtis, any final words from you?
So I've I've been using the Sensei for maybe a year and a half now, and it literally is my go-to get a good night's rest device. So if you don't already have one, check it out. I don't know if there's a discount code or something we can offer folks, but we will be sharing the recording today with everybody in case you didn't get all of it from the beginning. And just thanks to Anna and your incredible heart. I mean, we could all feel how passionate you are about this topic, and especially just giving all of us the tools that we need to live not just with more lifespan and health span, but joy span. And you just model that in every way. So thank you, Anna. We appreciate you.
Thank you
Amazing.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you,
And
Mark. Thank you, Curtis. Thanks,
take
everyone.
care. Bye-bye. And everyone who hasn't seen in the chat, I mean, that's an easy one to remember. Discount code Anna. That's exciting. All right. I'm going to share the, it doesn't work on Asana. Perfect. So just directly from the website. I'm going to share my screen again, and we'll jump into, so it'll be pretty quick. It'll be 10 minutes, and then we'll do a bit of a group share. And this is, maybe Curtis, if you don't mind, because you say this, you explain this really well, but really this is a way for us to get real clear, go from surface level to something really impactful when it comes to the why behind the age that we want to live to. But Curtis, you have a beautiful way to explain this, linear versus exponential. So take it away.
Thank you. So as many of you know, this all started at a longevity conference a couple of years ago when we were all asked to share how long we expected to live. And when most people are asked, how long do you think you're going to live? The way our brain works linearly. So we think, well, my grandparents made it to this age. Hopefully my parents will live a little bit longer than them. And hopefully I'll live a little bit longer than my parents. And even though the brain works linearly, when we think about technology is not advancing linearly, it's advancing exponentially. And I've got a name tag on because I stepped out of a longevity conference that I'm at here all day in Los Angeles. And the stuff that they're working on, literally, we've got a 91-year-old guy who is investing $5 million of his own money to become the first person to do mitochondrial transplantation. And he wants to be the first person to make it past 122 to 130. And the way he shared on stage this morning, I believe the guy's going to do it. So we're literally living not in a linear world, but an exponential world. But our brains can't process the implications of an exponentially accelerating life expectancy. So at the end of that conference, the consensus was that no matter what age you think you might be able to live to, even if it's just, 80, 90, 100, because we don't know what we don't know. We don't know the impact of AI on drug discovery. We don't know the impact of mitochondrial transplantation. We all still need to plan on the possibility of at least an extra vital, healthy, impactful 22 years. And that's what we're all about, creating this forum for us to learn how to access those extra 22 years. So, Mark, hope that helped.
Yes, super helpful. Thank you. Thank you. And just for context, so we're going to do what I call a little bit of forced journaling. I'm going to put on some binaural beats to help us guide that and easily bring our minds into a focused state. 10 minutes on average, people that go through our forums and do this exercise gain 15 and a half additional years to the number that they want to live to. So for me, at least, that's a pretty good return on 10 minutes. And we were really impressed to see that. I remember that when that data came in with our beta group, I was like, wow, we haven't even done any biomarkers or testing or deployed any tactics. It's literally just getting us to think differently. So that's what we're going to do here. I'll keep time. I'm going to do it with you as well. It's always a nice refresher on what matters most. And we'll take it from there. So here we go. Here we go with the first question. So the first question is really just picking your number. So intuitively, what's the age that you want to live to? And not just physically being on the planet. I mean, thriving, clear-minded, mobile. And why does that number feel right to you? So we'll do 2 minutes. I'm warning you, it's going to feel weird because you're probably going to get to the point where you'll answer that in about 20, 30 seconds at max, but then this is where the power comes in. Just keep looking at the question around the why, and we'll go a little bit deeper in the other questions, but keep writing and insights will surface. And let me know if you can hear the music? Perfect. All right, I'm gonna do it with you. last 30 seconds. All right. Second question. So now this is where we get a bit deeper, and this is where we're going to spend the most amount of time. But if you think of the big buckets in life, your family, work, legacy, and impact, list those things out, and then start to write what that number would mean to those buckets of your life. And we'll do 4 minutes on that. And really, I mean, get into the details here. If you're getting stuck, this is where you ask, and what else? Keep going. Last 20 seconds. third question, second last question, the holy grail, the one, let's be super honest with ourselves. What's holding you back? And try to name that. Try to pick a core challenge. You can list out a few, but the idea is to think of one key health habit that you need to create or let go of. And this is super important. I love this reframe of the situation. If you don't address this, what will it cost you in family, work, legacy, and impact? Seconds. Last one, and I love this question. You can use this question actually for really anything. I find if I'm stuck and in any kind of situation or looking for a solution to a challenge, this question unlocks a lot because we're super smart and we've got a ton of wisdom. We just need to let it out. So here it is. First step. If you think of yourself at the desired age, think of that age that you picked on question number 1. So thriving, clear-minded, mobile, healthy. What counsel would that future you give to you right now today? And what's one step that you can take today in that journey? And after you write that one step, then just keep free flowing around the advice that higher version of yourself would give you. Last 30. bonus question, while this is all fresh in your mind, take a look at that first age that you put on, you answered for question one. Without overthinking it too much, do you want to adjust that age? I'm assuming you're not going to go downward, but if you want to go up, just pop that number in there, just so you can see the progress of going through that reflection. And then I'd love to open it up. We'll just take a few minutes for anyone that wants to share just that last piece. Like what's the top 1% of that advice that you got from the higher version of yourself, whether that's an action or some sort of insight that's essentially too important not to share with others. Just you can unmute and turn your camera on and share away, because I almost guarantee that something that we're all sharing will be beneficial for the entire group as well, because we're all on this rotating earth together and struggling with certain things that are pretty common. Does anyone want to kick it off? Yeah, Patrick.
Mark, thanks for having me. Curtis,
Thank
thanks for
you.
having me, brother. Um, Man, Mark, you really know how to bring us in, brother. So I just greatly appreciate you.
Thank you.
This is an excellent practice. It's something I haven't done in some time, and it's shifted for me. And just a realization that I need to say no more often, so the yeses can be more prevalent that are coming to me, whatever that voice is that's speaking to me, and invest in yourself on a daily.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Are you comfortable sharing your age? The age that
Sure.
you're, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I'm thriving at 55 right now.
Yeah. And what's the desired age?
And I started at 122, but I'm looking for 150.
Yeah. I love it. Powerful. Thank you. Thanks, Patrick.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Anyone else? I mean, keep the good vibes flowing. This is food for the soul here.
I'll share quickly. My
Yeah.
daughter and I sat down last night, and she's just started driving, and there's all these things coming up for her, and gosh, it was like looking in the mirror at how much she stresses about things that I used to stress about when I was that age, right? And it's so real and important to her. So my thing was the things that I think are so important right now, well, I think they're that important in the future because there's always these reflection moments, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of had a bit of a laugh at the fact that wow, the things that I used to worry about in my 20s versus my 40s, I wonder what that will look like in my 60s, 80s, 120. So
Love that. Yeah. Love it. It's the small moments. Anyone else? Let's do one more.
Hi.
Hey, Justin.
Thanks, Mark, so much. Thanks, Curtis, for inviting us. Good to see you. Um, uh, Justin Anderson. You know, I really focused on similar to Tamara. I focused on like not getting caught up in the stress of the small stuff, kind of like tackle the problem at hand, but don't let it freak you out. Don't let it upset you. Don't let it, you know, build a bunch of anxiety or worry in you. You know, I'm 52. I feel like you know, I've got a pretty good handle on life and, know that, you know, staying focused on problems and solving them and moving to the next thing is always going to work. I think, the idea that what you worry about, my dad, who's 91 and in good health, and Curtis knows him well. He says, think about 5 years ago about the thing that was so stressing you out 5 years ago.
Mm,
And chances are you can't remember it. And if you can, it probably got better, not from you stressing about it, but from other circumstances, maybe some which didn't even involve your action, And I think that that's a good thing to focus on or to think about sometimes is just like, you know, the problems will either fix themselves or you'll fix them, but there's no point freaking out about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's powerful. Thank you. Thank you. I'll just share one quick one. I was interviewing someone the other day who makes really nice saunas, and we were just talking about sauna therapy and how it's kind of exploding around the world. And he really made a point that landed for me. He said, you know, in North America, we're often talking about, okay, well, I need an electric sauna so that I can turn it on quickly and it heats up and so forth. Because in Sweden and Finland, there's no discussion of that. And I'm going to go start the fire, and I'm going to light the fire and grow the fire for 30 minutes, right? It's just normal, but we're so caught up in this fast pace all the time moving that just made me really think and look around at different kind of routines and habits around where can you just slow down a little bit? Maybe it's just your coffee and just, you know, appreciating the coffee dripping or the beans and the smells and so forth versus just being this like ultra fast paced, high intensity worker, I guess you can say. So, well, thank you everyone for sharing. I want to respect everyone's time. And Curtis, I know you want to share a little bit about obviously what we're doing here, is just so people have some context. And so I'll kick it over to you as well as you tomorrow. I mean, for sure, jump in. This is your level of insight here. So what's ahead?
Yeah, thank you. Well, and just one additional reflection. My wife and I, after dinner, we love going for a walk around the neighborhood. And thanks to one of our other resources in our longevity community, Chavo Lucas, little shout out, he recommends that you walk barefoot. And so it causes me to walk slower when I don't have shoes on, and yet that experience of walking through the grass with bare feet is just so rejuvenating at so many levels. I'm sure it positively stimulates my vagal nerves. So just another
sure.
shout out there. So yeah, the reason that we're doing this is we've really been inspired by the community that's come together over the past couple of years. And yet many of our members are saying, we want more. The experts, the talks are great, but we want more. And so we've looked at what else is out there in the marketplace that's worked so well over the years. And some of the best community organizations like YPO and EO and Tiger 21 and Vistage, they're built on this forum concept, the idea of bringing together a group of 14 peers that want to learn together, grow together, make the world a better place together. And we thought, well, gosh, maybe we could create our own longevity forums. And so that's what we've done. We've already got our first one launched. It's extraordinary. And we want to open up this to as many people as possible. So if you're somebody who is, you know, curious about this longevity conversation, you want to take your game to the next level, you want to access as many of those 22 extra years, if not a whole lot more, this is your tribe. And so we'd love to talk to you directly, answer any questions. A lot of our community is saying, hey, can I create my own longevity forum? And that's absolutely an option too. We're working with several folks to create their own group. So if you've got a dozen friends that you'd love to bring together, we'd be thrilled to talk with you about that. The other thing to keep in mind is that all those other organizations I mentioned, it's pretty much just for one of the two people in the family. It's typically, you know, the business owner or the executive, and the spouse is left behind. We don't want our spouses to be left behind in this longevity journey. We want this as much as possible to be, you know, me and my bride. And so it's so great having Christy on this longevity journey with me. So think about that as well. And it's also become intergenerational. One of the coolest things is I love the Anderson family, and to have Jerry and Justin on the call today. And we want Dana to be part of it too at 91. And so we envision intergenerational longevity forum. So that's another way to think about it. But let's continue with the slides here. And tomorrow I definitely want you to jump in shortly. But I'll talk briefly about the beginning of the longevity forum journey is just getting a baseline for where you are and identifying all the opportunities to quickly, measurably, visibly see progress in not just the lifespan, but the health span and the joy span. And so we're really privileged to be able to partner with the 100.com app. This is literally a brand new product on the marketplace. We've been part of their initial group. There's 80,000 people on the wait list to have access to this, and our forum members get front of the line access. So we've all been using this to great success, super cool platform to really get actionable advice on improving every biomarker with really practical, easy first steps. So that's a cool thing. And then next, Mark. There we go. Okay, well, here, tomorrow, will you share something? I can't not have you be part of this conversation. You're such an inspiration to all of us.
Thank you. I love the app. It's a little bit of gamification of longevity. So it's nice to know my age is turning 50 and then, working really hard on getting that number down. Would you mind if I share, Mark, a couple of things just to run through what I see as longevity? Because I think what's important is look in EO, because my business partner is an EO, and the biohacking group is the largest group, like as a WhatsApp group. It's huge. But we really want to go from biohacking to really looking at all the four dimensions of longevity. And I think particularly, a few of these columns get missed. So for us, it's about the body, the mind, your cells at a cellular level, and of course, your connection and purpose, which I love that you mentioned that because I was just at Lanai in Hawaii and we asked the purpose question, and a lot of people have not done the work and have no reason why they've been put on this planet other than to provide and to build a business and exit. So you can understand why a lot of people get lost in that process. So we see these as the four pillars that we need to focus on. And for most, longevity is quite overwhelming. Even for the smartest people in the world that I'm meeting and that I have in my network, it's still extremely overwhelming. Do I jump in a hyperbaric chamber or the sauna or both? What tests do I do? What wearables do I have? So we really wanted to break it down and make that first 12 months longevity for you, personalized and customized, so that you can work through these and not only customize it to what works for you, but measure the outcomes and get access to the best speakers. I mean, Curtis's network in longevity, I think, is one of the best in the world. So he's opened that up for us. So this is sort of the journey, and we break it into two parts, but we're going to start first in month one with some testing, some intensive testing so that we can see where your benchmark is now. And then we're going to take it step by step. Every month we come together, whether it's virtual or in person, we're going to break it down into, okay, let's look at the body. Let's look at the key things when it comes to the body. And then we're going to go into the mind, because as we learned today, that was a mind exercise as well as a nervous system exercise. And we're going to put some challenges in there. We're going to do a fasting challenge. We're going to try these different things and see how that impacts our genetic versus biological age. So this is a journey for 6 months. We're breaking it down into 6 and 12 months. At the 6-month mark, we go on a retreat, like all good forums. We've got some amazing partnerships with some great locations. We call them oils, once in a lifetime. I was there a couple of weeks ago in Lanai in Hawaii, which was unbelievable. So it's really about this practice of looking at those four pillars, understanding how they relate to you and how they move the dial for you, and then having somebody like Mark, who is a paid chair and facilitator, to make sure that we're on track and we're accountable. Because there's biohacking, there's longevity, and then there's breaking the rules. So I need somebody to say to me, come on, Tamara, you said in your quarterly that you were going to do Sensate every day for 3 months to see if it could really elevate your leadership and your parenting. And, it's just someone to hold me accountable to all of this. So I'm proudly 50 next year and 35.5 as my age. So this stuff works. And I started this 2 years ago, which is why I'm so passionate about it. And we've broken it down so that you can go on that journey with 12 to 14 other people who really have your back. And that's really important as well, because we need tribes. We need to get back to circles. I want to make lifelong friends through this journey. And one of the biggest things is we don't want to die lonely. So let's take our spouse on this journey. So I just wanted to share
Yes.
that, Mark, as well,
Yeah,
because
thank you.
I think breaking it down, we're all entrepreneurs, we're all CEOs. We know about plans and how to break them down, but for me, longevity, most people are just don't even know where to start.
Thank you. Perfect. Does anyone have any questions at all before we wrap? Must be clear.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, who here feels that a 6 month commitment to longevity would be of value to you? I mean, I got value in the last 2 years, but I'm interested to understand if that's worth the return on time.
Yeah, Tamara, I would have to believe that everybody in the room can appreciate that statement and that question. It's just a matter of being asked the question like you just did. A lot of us probably ask ourselves a question and don't have the blueprint. It's overwhelming out there for sure. I work in a space that I try to bring that forward with our military, our vets, and our C-suites.
Hmm.
But it's a challenge because what do you bring forward with everything continue to change? I do a lot of research, and that's always changing, so it's never definitive. So it's nice to know that there's a group of people that are always looking at this at the cutting edge and willing to bring that forward openly. That none of us are experts, but we're
Yeah.
all interested in finding out what is the most effective dose, and the different lifestyle changes that we can make to extend that life. So yeah, I appreciate you asking that question.
Thank
I mean,
you.
just
Well, where your
as
focus goes, your energy flows, right?
for sure. Well, just on your point though, Padre, I mean, as the chair of the beta group and just witnessing what's happening in the WhatsApp group as well, it's there's a lot of magic there. I mean, it's the fact that they're like-minded people, same motivations and so forth, and they're connecting, and you start. No one's trying to play, a doctor on the internet. That's not the goal. But there's people, hey, I've tried this. Have you thought of this? And they're posing questions, and then that's leading to, all right, well, next month, do you want someone to talk about metabolic fitness and CGMs and so forth? Yeah, yeah, me. So then we source the speaker, right? So the idea is that, of course, there's a through line in the programming, but it, it has to be customized to the group. So that, because there's, to your point, there's just so much out there, right? So let's cut through the noise and try to, as best as we can, answer the real questions that we all have in a way that's practical and relatable. So yeah, thank you. Thanks to all of you.